And we're live. We got Brian here in my little speaking corner here, and my name is Patrick. And we will be talking a little bit about the differences from having a 9 to 5 job compared to what did you say it was? Reselling? Resales?
Yeah, reselling, just basically e-commerce. Selling stuff online or selling stuff local using the internet. There's so many ways to escape the 9 to 5 that it's good to entertain all the options because some may fit for some people and some may not. But I
How
appreciate you
does
having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. How does that function with like reselling? You use eBay or Amazon or
I started out, of course, I got out of school, high school, went to a little bit of college, and ended up getting a factory job, and then I worked some other jobs. But I just always felt like it was just too much time and not enough freedom doing that. And I finally got to a point where I really got serious about eBay, and I had sold on eBay in the past. I never really took it that serious as far as trying to make it a full time income. And it took me about 4 years of being really serious about eBay, and I just started listing different products and trying different categories. And before you knew it, or before I knew it, I had 250 listings, and stuff was selling. So I ended up, getting a store subscription, and then it went from 250 listings to 500, and then before you know it, I was at 1,000 listings and selling, 8, 10, 15 items a day, and I was still working the 9 to 5. And at that point, with the two incomes, I felt like I was really making some good money, which I was.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, damn. I mean, like
but eBay,
that's a lot.
and I mean, it does take, it does take up a lot of your time when you're just getting started, especially if you're still working, your regular job. And it's always good to have that 9 to 5 there with that guaranteed income. And of course, you get health insurance and dental and all that stuff from a more traditional type job. But uh,
Yeah,
once I
I just keep falling back to like comparing this to, for instance, starting up a business, which I also assume that would function somewhat the same way, taking up a lot of your time, at least in the beginning, before you get a steady flow coming in.
definitely starting any kind of business is you know time intensive on whoever's running it. And that's kind of like what I really liked about selling stuff online is that I could do it on my schedule, and I could put in a lot of work or I could put in as little work as I wanted to. And it really does pay off, and it really is a way to work yourself out of the job that you have.
But you said that you were working 4 years, or at least that it took 4 years before it really got up and running. So were you working then like a full-time 9 to 5 job for 4 years before you decided to quit your job, or did this happen sooner?
Yeah, it took 4 years. I was working the regular job and doing eBay, as full time as I could. I mean, I would work on it if I got off at 5 or 6 o'clock. I would work on it from 6 p.m. till midnight sometimes, just getting new stuff listed or trying to find new products or something like that. And it really took the 4 years. I mean, I had to get it to a certain point to where I felt like if I really had to live off of the online income, exclusively, that I would be able to do it, and saving up some money and having some money put back for the worst case scenario that something happens to where the online income just falls off, that I would have money to get me by until I could go back and get another regular job. But um, once once the eBay store got so big to where I was not really relying on my work check, that's when I knew I was like, okay, I'm just putting these 9 to 5 checks in the bank, and I'm pretty much paying my bills all from eBay. Then that's when it was like really, it became real to me. Like, man, I think if I get my bills and my expenses as low as possible, I think it really is probably feasible that I could do this full time, and that's what happened.
Damn. So at this point, your income from these resales were actually matching your 9 to 5 job salary or income.
It was pretty close, and I mean at the time I was living in an apartment and paying rent, and I had some other bills and stuff like that. But while I still had my regular job, I paid off all my credit cards. I paid off all the debt that I had. I don't have a car payment or credit card payments or anything like that. And once I had an emergency fund set up, and once I was confident that the eBay sales would continue, then it just became a matter of time as far as when I would be quitting. And certain things all lined up. The job was doing some different things, and then my family situation changed, and there was just one point where I was like, okay, today's the day that I need to just go ahead and quit and see if I can make it work. And that's what I did. So
Yeah, let's hold on here. We have a joiner. Hello, Rita.
Oh, hello. How you doing? I couldn't hear what you said.
Yeah,
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Is there any way you can turn down my volume because I'm getting some feedback from your microphone?
Is this better?
Uh, no, it's still a little feedback. Like I can hear the echo of myself when your mic's activating.
Okay, I'll turn it down a little more. Hopefully, I'll still be able to hear you.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that better?
that seems to be a little better. Yeah, yeah, that's a lot better. Thank you. We got Rita here joining us in our little podcast here in the corner. Um, Tell us a little bit about yourself, Rita.
Sure. I live in Southern California, and I have a dog sitting and dog walking business, and I've been doing that for close to 10 years. And the way I went from part time to full time with it is I uh, I lived in my van for about 4.5 years.
Damn, that's commendable. So you're and how has it changed from that time to now?
Oh,
You're
from like working a regular job.
yeah.
Well, I hadn't really had a real job in a really long time. I did some real estate appraisal work for a while. Um, and kind of what happened is I got really burnt out. It's kind of a real estate can be kind of a sharky kind of world in a lot of ways. And at that time, I wasn't really equipped to handle it emotionally. I think I would handle it a lot better today.
Yeah, yeah.
But I got really burnt out on it. Um,
And then you decided
and
to start up your dog walking slash.
yeah, kind of a couple of other little side paths, but yeah. And then my children left home. One of them went to college, and the other one moved with her boyfriend to another state. And so, I found myself like I didn't need to make as much money and didn't even need to have an apartment anymore, or we lived in a condo. Um, so I sort of thought, well, I had always wanted to do something different, and this seemed like a good opportunity to do that. Just like I didn't need, I love my kids, but it was a big financial burden.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course it
I had
is.
to I had to come up with a lot of money every month. In California, it's pretty expensive. So so I just saw this opportunity, like, oh god. So that's kind of how that happened.
Yeah, I see. I see. Um, I'm not really sure how to diversify who's getting the most time here to talk. I'm like feeling I'm letting Brian out of the conversation now.
Oh no problem. Just if you want to ask him questions, please.
Yeah. Okay. Brian, you got anything to? I was going to ask you. Oh man, I got a little bit out of it now. What was I going to ask you? Yeah, I was going to ask if you are missing any, goods from the 9 to 5 job. Did you like have a health insurance or paid vacation or paid dental care or anything like this that you're missing, or was it only, income that was it?
I mean, it's definitely. I mean, I don't have health insurance right now. I don't have dental. Of course, the companies, companies offer 401ks and savings plans and all that. Um, I didn't I didn't sign up for any of that for the regular job anyhow. But um, and a lot of people get scared by not having a regular job because everybody health insurance is tied to employers most of the time. I do have a plan in my head that I'm gonna try to execute in the next couple years to where I do have health insurance. But as of right now, I've just got to keep continuing to grow the business to the point where the health insurance is just kind of figured in. And I mean, you can pay for private health insurance just like you can get it at a job. So it's kind of risky, but to me it's totally worth it because even though I don't have health insurance, I feel much better every day not having to work the job that I used to work or deal with the stress of that job or I mean just something as simple as you wake up one morning and you don't feel the greatest. I mean, I can just go back to sleep and sleep it off and rest and feel better, and then I can just do my work, later in the day with this. But the health insurance thing definitely probably does keep a lot of people from quitting their job. But I definitely don't recommend if you've got a good job. I mean, keep it as long as you can and build up as much money that is your emergency fund. Definitely, you want to have quite a bit of money put back to pay your
Yeah.
bill each
Yeah, you
month.
need
So
a safety buffer so that you have something to fall back on if something happens or you don't get income right away. Um,
and
but you're in no way worried, like if you were to become serious ill or get into an accident that you would have to pay, I don't know, an astronomically high amount of money to get your health back.
I mean, the worry is always there. I mean, it is something that can happen. But if if an emergency comes up, I mean, I just have to deal with it. I'll go to the emergency room and then I'll deal with after deal with it after that. But it definitely is something that concerns me and I've thought about. But the trade off, the risk versus reward for me right now is worth it to take that risk. So
Yeah, it's the reward is greater than the risk. I get that. What about pension? Is what are you saying, Rita?
Oh, I was going to ask, do you by any chance qualify for any government assistance or anything?
I haven't checked into any of it. No.
Some people do that for a little while, till they get, you know, to a certain point, and then I don't, but I just something, you know. I get veterans benefits because I'm a veteran, but I don't know how good they are. I really haven't checked into it too much, but I know like I have something,
Right.
But
I mean,
if I didn't,
my only thing is if I had all the money that I paid in health insurance that I never used from the previous job, I would have a whole bunch of money in my health savings account or something like that. So
yeah,
it's kind of, you pay, if you have dental insurance, you pay it every month whether you see it or not. You have health insurance and you pay that every month, and most people don't even use it or go to the doctor until they are super sick. And then, I mean, a lot of times, you know you get sick and then the doctor, it's not covered by your insurance. So I mean, even with having a regular job with regular insurance, it's still risky. And I mean, it's just your risk tolerance does have to be a little bit high
But
to
yeah,
to beat
but what
Yeah.
are
that
the
on your own.
chances? You have to think about what are the real chances. I mean, if you statistically, what are the chances that in the next 2 years you're going to get in a catastrophic accident?
Low,
I
very
mean,
low.
it is a risk, but it is very low. You
Yeah,
probably have a better chance of winning the lottery.
yeah,
No, maybe not. But you know what I mean.
yeah. And
Right.
then you have like an expense of I don't know, $5,000 to $8,000 a year for these insurances. That's a lot of money throughout the years.
Yeah, you could start a lot of businesses with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I really liked what Dee said about, when you don't feel good, sometimes you just need a little more sleep. Sometimes it's that simple, or maybe you just need to eat maybe you haven't been eating right. You need to just work on your diet a little bit. Sometimes it's a really simple fix that we don't need to run to the doctor for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
Sometimes it's the 9 to 5 job that's making you sick.
exactly. That's a
That
good
is
point.
true. There was a guy I was working with. I'm working at a warehouse, by the way, as a forklift operator. And there was this guy I worked with that did as much OT as he possibly could, like worked every weekend, every OT that he got. So he was working, I don't know, 60 hours a week plus. And he got sick from it, and he had to quit. Yeah.
Yep. You can't fool Mother Nature.
No, you can't push yourself that way. It will mess up your body and your internal rhythm.
Yep. I agree. I
But
agree.
I mean, I try to encourage people. I mean, people, and I'm obsessed with it, like trying to get people to escape the 9 to 5. And I mean, I don't tell anybody, to quit their job. What I tell people is, you've got to get started, because with the internet, the opportunities to make money online from your computer or from your phone, I mean, it is, to me, it's 100% guaranteed that anybody can do it. And even if you don't make it to full time type income, I mean, everybody could use an extra $500 a month, or $200 a month, or whatever. If you can start an eBay store, and that eBay store, those 50 free listings, if you can make enough to pay your utility bill a month, or if you can make enough to make your house payment or your rent or your car payment, I mean, then you get to keep your entire check from the job that you're working. You know what I mean? So I just tell people, just get started, whether it's eBay, Amazon, Mercari, or OfferUp. I mean, there's just so many platforms to sell on, that if you just start on one and grow one and get used to it, you can always transfer right over to another platform and sell the exact same items that you're having success with on the platform you started on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that was another thing I was going to ask you about. The items that you're reselling. Do you first buy them and order them to your house, then sell them, then pack them, and then go mail them?
Yes, yeah, I do. I started off doing the thrifting, which is Goodwills and Salvation Army and a couple other low cost inventory reduction type stores, I guess. And that's, you can make good money, and the profit margin is good on items if you can buy them cheap and relist them and sell them. But I got into some wholesale type stuff, to where it's products that I can just reorder, and get them here and inventory them, and then list them. And when they sell, it's, you pack them up and ship them out. So I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. I mean, you can do it. You can start by selling the stuff out of your house. Then you can go thrifting and go to yard sales and Goodwills and stuff like that, and learn. And you really do learn from your mistakes. I mean, I bought a lot of stuff that didn't sell, so you end up with stuff that you have to redonate or just get rid of however you can. But in that process, you learn what to buy and what not to buy. And the
Yeah,
thing about it
you
is, if you never start, you never do make that progress. So
no
I
you
always tell people to start.
you get to test the waters and find out what kind of items is hot on the market that you can flip, right? My only concerns with this, if I was going to do it, is that I don't live in the U.S. I live in Europe, in Denmark, and the shipping costs in Europe is higher than in the U.S. for some reason. So I don't really know how I would do that to add to add the shipping cost maybe the same price as the item to get the product from A to B.
Right. Do they have like a local marketplace there? I mean, do they have Facebook Marketplace like we have in the States?
Oh yes, they do.
Because I mean, I've had uh, some success with buying, products that I can get cheap online, and then I get them and I either put them together or whatever it takes, and then I list them on Facebook Marketplace, and I've made money selling stuff that I order on eBay or AliExpress, and I have it shipped to me, and then I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and you know, you meet up and you sell it, and that's it. And then the
Yeah,
next time you turn around and
eliminate.
relist it.
Yeah, you are eliminating the shipping costs by just using your own car, your own fuel, right?
Have them
Uh,
come to you. Will be have them deliver it to. No, seriously, you can. If they want it, they will. Because then you don't want to be wasting your gas either. I know gas is really expensive there.
yeah, yeah, it is. It is. It's like twice the prices in the U.S., I guess.
But
I
see, I
never
mean,
get
you
that
could,
though.
Patrick, you could do. I mean, like what you're doing now, of course, is something that you could monetize without. Reselling is just one form or one way to escape the 9 to 5. I mean, between YouTube videos or podcasts or even print on demand websites where you can make designs and put it on T-shirts and coffee cups and towels and everything in between. I mean, there's so many ways with the internet to generate income if you can find something that people want and then get eyes and attention on it. I mean, it's totally possible. But everybody's got their own different circumstances. It's hard to you know give good advice to somebody if you don't know their entire situation. But if you can adapt and figure out a way to get around that shipping cost, you know.
Yeah, OB. I was wondering if don't you guys have really awesome furniture there?
Yeah, yeah. I guess we have a lot of good furniture. Or yeah, what are you thinking about?
I don't know, like furniture flips. If you have a little space, you just start small and then work up. Like do people like leave it on the curb on trash day and stuff like that? Where you can
Oh
pick
no,
it up for free, maybe?
no. I haven't seen anyone leaving them out on the trash curb.
Well, you guys are more minimal, right? You don't have as much junk as we do here. I know that.
Yeah, that's true. A smaller house and all that. Yeah, the small cars.
But some people here, I don't know if it would work there or not, but some people here, they find stuff on Craigslist. Have you heard of Craigslist?
Yes.
Yeah, so they find stuff on Craigslist, either free or really cheap. You pick it up, and then try to, obviously you want something that's undervalued. Maybe you might even talk them down a little on the price if it's been sitting for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so you get it, and then you flip it, and you do it all locally. You don't have to get on eBay or anything. You just either advertise it on Craigslist again, or whatever you've got available to you. You have to have a little space. I would love to get into it, but I'm afraid I'm in over my head with too many things and not moving.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So yeah, it's definitely something I will look into because these are interesting ways of making money compared to the 9 to 5 job. And I also don't see myself doing heavy lifts, manually heavy lifts as a 50, 60-year old man when I get to that age in a few decades.
Oh, right.
Because
That's
that it does tear on your body, right? To do, yeah,
And that's one thing. That's one thing I do tell people who are working a job that they're not
yeah,
overly excited about, and I'm just like, look, you're gonna have to quit this job eventually, whether you like it or not. You're either gonna have to move up to a management position to where other people are doing all the hard work, or you're gonna have to move into the office, or you're gonna have to move into the marketing department, or you're gonna have to move somewhere else in that company, or else in 30, 40 years you won't be able to walk. Your knees are gonna be bad, your shoulders will be bad, or you'll be uh, that kind of manual labor just takes its toll on everybody.
it does
And
definitely, definitely.
you either gotta have an exit plan within that company to where you can get away from the physical part of it, or you gotta start building your exit plan by selling or doing something that's easier. Whether it's a physical business or online business or anything. But
For sure, for sure. And you're also under the constant threat that you could all of a sudden be terminated from your job, even if you do have a cushy office job. Which is something that did happen to me a year back, where yeah. By the way, I am educated in construction and business, and I worked for a year and a half in an office coordinating craftsmen and the construction managers and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, because some dude didn't like me after 18 months, I got fired.
that's how quick it can happen. I mean, if it's I mean, to me, in today's age, you need more than one income stream. Yeah, I mean, even no matter how small they are, if it's generating income, it's a good thing. If it doesn't have to be full time income, but if you were, if doing the forklift thing and then something happens and one day they come in, oh, plant's closing,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean
That's
something
yeah,
totally out of your control and totally out of everybody's control. Well, 90% of the people in that company are going to just be like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, But if you've been working for 3 or 4 years on a little side income and it's generating $500 a month, if you do get fired and you've got your entire day to put into that income stream, then you can grow that income stream from 500 to $1,500 a month or whatever you need, to survive.
yeah,
And
for
I've even
sure.
thought about, if worse comes to worse and my online sales plummet, I'll go get a part time job working in the air conditioning, serving coffee, or what, I'll go get a cush job working in the air conditioning and do the eBay and Amazon stuff on the side. And between those three things, I should make enough money to survive.
well, B. You know what a good one I think is? I don't know if you have it in your area or not, but storage unit.
Yeah, we have storage units.
Because I just moved into a new one, and I got to talking to one of the guys that works there. He only works there like 3 days a week or something, but he also has an eBay business, and he says he can work on his eBay business at the storage unit because it's very boring there. There's not much going on most of the time. Sometimes it'll get busy, but there's hours and hours where it's nothing to do, and he doesn't have to look busy. He can actually do his eBay business. So I thought, man,
That's the best when you are getting paid to work on your side hustle. That is absolute best. If you can work on
yeah.
it
So
on
I'm
their
thinking,
time, yeah.
It seems like
maybe I should just get that even as a quote unquote backup, even if I work 1 day a week, just to kind of have that on the
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. If you're lucky enough to get a job like that, I'm just like, are we talking about like storage units where people store their stuff, overflow stuff from their house, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and there'll be somebody at the front that's their business, taking
yeah.
the money or whatever, the billing and all that. And I guess that's a
And
pretty boring job.
I'm just thinking like places like that don't require a whole lot of manpower, so most of them will already have like one or two dudes.
No,
Under,
that's a good reason to put your name in now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll put.
As I'm talking to you guys, I'm thinking, well, these guys like me. You know, we met them before. Maybe I'll just throw my name in for a backup or something, just to have, just have that little thing, just a little another little side hustle.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, it's important to find a kind of side hustle that functions to get like a safety net, an own safety net for yourself, right?
Yeah, I figure, be there once a week, and then, like you said, hopefully you can work on your side business a little at the same time. So, and then so you get paid a little money. Yeah, I don't see it as like a safety net. I see it more as like double dipping, really. And then like I guess, yeah, in a way, I suppose if online sales went flat, then that's one more experience you have. You have experience working at a storage unit, and
Yeah.
maybe up your hours there, or at least it's on your resume if you want to go work somewhere else.
Am I overstepping if I'm asking the two of you how much you are earning on your new way of living?
No, I gross around 3,000 a month on the dog, and I
Damn.
live pretty small. I live pretty small,
Is,
so I don't.
is that money? Is that money you have to tax from, or is
That's
it
before taxes.
what is it after?
No, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but maybe a couple thousand.
Okay.
That's the dog stuff, and then I make a few hundred a month on.
Okay.
And that's probably not even quite right. It might be a little bit more because some months I get a lot of dog sitting jobs, and that's when I make that's really good money. So it might be a little more than that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It works. It works. I make enough to pay my bills and have some left over.
It's about the same as I have after tax for my forklift job. I have about 2,200 after taxes.
I think I claimed close to 40,000 on my taxes for last year, and
That,
Good.
it was all 100% online stuff.
damn, that's good. How much work are you putting in on that stuff now? Are you still working like only 6 hours a day or more?
I do it all the time. Man, I ain't gonna, if I'm upstairs and I don't have anything going on, I'm at my computer either listing, revising, or doing whatever I can to help my business. But while I'm doing that, I'm listening to podcasts or taking Skillshare courses or watching YouTube videos. I'm getting some feedback from somebody. I'm not sure.
Well, that's a constructive way. But what happens, for instance, if you decide to, now I'm gonna take a week's vacation and go with my family to uh, what is it, Disneyland in Orlando or
Yeah,
Disney?
yeah.
Yeah,
I took a week's vacation during the 4th of July week here, uh, and I just put my eBay store on vacation mode, and sales continue to come in, and I put it in vacation mode, and I changed my handling time to like 30 days handling, so it shows up on the listing, and so people know that it's not going to be delivered anytime soon. And I've done that 2 or 3 times and left my eBay store in vacation mode, and I've made sales. Of course, the sales go down, but I still make the sales, and it really hasn't affected me at all, really. But the way I got around that is I got into Amazon FBA, which is where you buy the products, you prep them, and then you send them to the Amazon warehouse, and Amazon stores them, ships them, deals with returns, and all that. So even though my eBay store was in vacation mode and not producing a whole lot of sales or normal sales, the Amazon stuff was still selling, and that money was still accumulating. So I mean, it's even even after the 9 to 5, I'm obsessed with having more than one income stream in case something happens to one of them. I've got one or two others to fall back on.
You have, but you're, yeah, yeah, that's a great idea.
Having the Amazon pickup, immediately you saw. That's awesome.
Do you have any savings accounts or, putting money away for a rainy day in case the sales go down?
I use the Stash app, which is like investing for beginners, and I have $10 a week, which sounds like not much, but I have $10 a week auto taken out and auto invested into, well, my main investment's precious metals, gold and silver and stuff like that on there. But I invest on Stash, and I'm just hoping to build that up to a point where that is my emergency fund. And also on that app, you can set up custodial accounts because I want to start savings accounts for my kids, and you can do all that stuff online and on apps. And to me, it seems like it's working. I think the stock market's up, so I think I'm up like $100 and something as far as over what I've invested.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. I'm
But
investing about 80, $90 a month into equity funds, and that has yielded about 10% profit over the years, like a few years.
yeah, I definitely think investing is smart to get into it at least a little bit. Um, I also, while I sell on Mercari, it's a selling app. I sell on it too, and all that money I'm just leaving. I haven't cashed it out yet, so I'm just leaving it there as another little pocket of money that if if I can't make the bills this month, I'll just go get that money out of there, and pay from that. But um, I think having money in several different places is a good thing in case something happens to one or the other. And then I just try to operate on I try to pay my bills with just eBay income. All the Amazon money that I make just stays in the business checking account, and I'm just trying to build that up as high as possible. And I'm trying to live off of my eBay sales and
Damn.
any kind of other local hustles that I do.
So you have three side hustles. You have your eBay sales, you have your Amazon sales, and you have your sales from the app. What was it called again?
Mercari.
Marcori. Okay. Do you have any more
And
than these three?
I've got three vending machines right now. They're just little candy dispensing machines that I was trying to get started, which that does make some money, but it's not substantial. I sell some stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Uh, but yeah, those four. I
Yeah.
mean, eBay's number one, Amazon's number two, Mercari's number three, vending is four, and then Facebook Marketplace is probably five. So
No, I have to say you're doing a great job. When did you start? 4 years ago, right?
about four. I'm going on 3 years of not having a job. So I mean,
Wow.
I'm going on about 7 years as far as taking it really serious, trying to make it my full time thing.
Yeah, yeah, but 4 years is what you've been going without 9 to 5. But you
Right,
started 7 years ago from the ground up.
right.
Hello, Rita. You have anything to add or questions?
Address what Dee was talking about. That's been what's been really cool about kind of being a reseller and watching the videos and kind of associating with resellers is you really start to understand money a lot more and and savings, and then like having these pockets. Like I do that with my PayPal. I let it build up a lot, and then I can go, like I just bought my daughter and I tickets to go to on a trip to visit my mom, and
Yeah.
it felt really good my 50s. And it felt really good, like this time, to pay my own way. And not that they can't do it, you know, they love doing it, but it just felt good to pay my own way and pay my daughter's way too. It felt good to be there. You know, that sounds really dumb, but it was.
No, no, no. It doesn't sound dumb in any way. It sounds like you have found independence in your life, which is a great,
Yeah,
great thing
that's
because
because of everything else. It's not they haven't been supportive of me, but it just yeah, it felt really good. And then you were asking about having savings or how to how do you go on a vacation. I just wanted to share that when I went this time, I went for just 4 days, and it is hard to leave your own business when you pretty much it's your job. It's your job to do. You know, it's still a job because you can't really leave. But I got people to cover my dog walks for me. I've gotten a pretty good network going of dog walkers, so that's been really cool. And so I got my dog walks covered, and I paid them up front. So I had whatever extra money or whatever, and I just paid everybody up front, and that way, like when I got paid, I just kept that money. So it was like I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like everything went really smoothly. But I don't know if I could have done that a few years ago because I just wasn't as good with money. I was just getting better with money because when on eBay, like when I buy and sell things, I keep a spreadsheet and I pay attention to how much I made and how much I didn't make, and if I lose money on this one or. The good news is you hardly ever lose money. The only time you lose money is if you give up on the thing and throw it away, really, because you can usually sell it at some price, get some money back, even at least
R-
what you paid sometimes.
Rita, hold on a second and back up. I didn't. I missed that. Do you also have income stream from eBay?
Yes, just a
Okay.
little bit. It's like 300 a month, and I might even break even by the time I go and buy more inventory. So I mean, it's nothing really. It's something that I can slowly. I've considered it school. The last 2 years I've been just learning and learning what works for me. I live in a small space. I rent a room, and so it's a small space, and I did have a storage unit. I do have a storage unit, and just trying to figure out what works for me. Do I want to sell hard goods, and have those big packages to ship? I decided no, I do not want to do that, especially with the shipping costs going up this year. And just what's available to me, and I actually have a plan now for it's kind of different on how I'm going to get inventory, and I'm going to have virtual assistants to help me with most of the listing. I'll only have to do a couple things the way it's set up, and I'm actually really excited about it. I just gotta, I'm in the middle of a move, so I've got to get my move done. I'll be officially in the new place on Sunday, and then it's back to back to the plan, getting that rolling again. And but I think it's a pretty good plan as long as I carry it out, and don't get. I get a little tired because I have a physical job. I am making excuses now, I guess, but I think they're valid excuses. I do get kind of tired, so sometimes it's hard for me to take my pictures for eBay and do all the things.
Yeah, but you're getting a ton of exercise in with all those dog walks, right?
Yes, I am. I'm sure it's what's keeping me alive because I believe it. I'm still overweight even with all the exercise because I eat too much. So yeah, I think it's keeping me alive. I mean, going back to the medical thing, I'm getting way more exercise than I would have doing the 9 to 5. The 9 to 5, by the time I got home, I was mentally exhausted and didn't feel like doing anything.
Have you noticed the difference in your health since before you started your dog walking business?
Yes, because actually there was a point in my life where it's kind of embarrassing. Part of it's because of my diet, but um, my friend was like, "Why don't you just go take a walk, Rita?" And I was like I was so tired because I think a lot of it was mental, and the worry and anxieties that I was having about work. And I was like, I can't. She's like, take your dog, go for a walk. Cause I'm a dog walker now, and I couldn't even take the dog out sometimes, because I was so like. Part of it was my diet. I found out so
All,
lethargic and heavy, and
also the soda that doesn't contain sugar, like Coke Zero.
I never drink that stuff.
You never drink that stuff, okay?
No, it's not good for you. No, it's cancer.
Is it?
No, yeah, I don't drink stuff any of that artificial.
I mostly drink Coke Zero and what do you call it? Carbonated water.
I think certain carbonated waters are okay. I should like get myself on those. But
Yeah,
I just try to drink some juice now or something or water, because it was just that was the worst thing. But like I said, I mean, I could barely move, man. I was in a bad way. So yeah, it's probably saved my life walking dogs. Just to get out in the sun, exercise. Probably hasn't been great for my skin. I probably have more wrinkles than I would have, but
but you're still getting like a ton of D vitamins from the sun shining on you and on that stuff.
yeah, I think it's been definitely a net positive.
Yeah,
Thanks for asking.
yeah, no, no problem.
The latest income stream I've been trying to get into is Facebook marketing, which is basically trying to find little local sandwich shops or mom and pop stores that don't know or don't have time to do their Facebook stuff. And I just figure if I can get a couple clients and manage their Facebook page and charge them a flat monthly fee, that could be another income stream that I could just make the post ahead of time, schedule them, run the ads, do whatever they want you to do, and then have that monthly income coming in too. So there's so many opportunities right now to make money online.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
The advertising. You know what I mean?
I'm
It's one
doing
thing for
I'm doing it for free
Facebook.
right now. Well,
No, it's one thing for. But I'm talking about for Facebook ads. Those cost money. You want to pay for their ads, right?
I've toyed around with Facebook ads, sponsored ads, and it's not. You can get a lot of views for $10 a week. So I mean, it's not expensive in for what you get. Right now, the little place that I'm partnered with, they're gonna. Well, they're not paying me anything because I told them up front. I was like, I've never done it. I don't know what kind of results it's going to get. I'm just pretty much brutally honest with people when I approach them about
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do. So I told them, I said, if it works out, if it gets you some new followers or gets you some customers, then we can kind of go from there. But I've gotten 2 free meals out of it so far, and I've only made like just two or three little graphics with their logo and stuff like that, menu and stuff like that on it. So it's just you never know where any of these things are going to take you. I mean, once you start eBay, it may lead into something else. If you do Amazon, it leads into everything I do that turns out to be something totally different than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I must say you've done a great job. But yeah, I was going to mention like one thing, which was the goods that I was like talking about that you get from work, right? One of the goods that I'm like getting, or a few of the goods that I'm getting, is that I'm getting pension. Like they pull something like seven. They're putting like $700-800 on top of my salary into a pension fund
Right.
a
So
month.
they're matching whatever you put in.
Yeah, yeah, but like it's like on top of the salary, so
Awesome.
it's not pulled from my hourly wage or anything like that. It's plus expense for them on 13.5% or something like that. And on top of this, I'm also able to save up extra vacation days. Since I live in Western Europe, we have 25 paid vacation days a year. Um, and on top of this, if I, for instance, work 1 hour extra or 30 minutes extra a day or two, this just adds up to flex time. So if I, for instance, I've saved up 38 hours, then I have an extra vacation week right there, or an extra weeks of salary that I can take out in addition to my paid vacation.
Yeah, that definitely a good thing there.
Yeah, it's a lot of goods there with this work.
And Toby, you guys have in Denmark, don't you have a pretty good? If you got unemployed, if you got laid off or something, aren't they really good about like some kind of unemployment benefit or something too?
Yeah, I'm insured via my union that I'm paying $80 or something a month to. No, I'm sorry, it's more than that. It's closer to $100 or something a month. But if I now were to go unemployed tomorrow, then I get close to 80% or so of my salary a month. And I'm paid this, and I would be paid this, or be eligible to be paid this for 2 years. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. I like the work, yes, but I feel uncertain at work because they are constantly laying off people. Then they're like putting in some kind of automated system in the work. To explain what I'm doing, I'm like picking merchandise and packing them and then loading them onto a truck, right? And they're like putting in some machines to do this work for them. Yeah, that could be a problem. So we started there in the summer. We were I don't know how many is working out there. I think it's like close to 40 or 50 people, and then there was 30 temps, from the temp agency. I'm a temp, and now we are like maybe eight left or so, seven, eight left. So I'm like feeling that the bullet is this freaking close to my head, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good you're thinking about some side hustle, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Do you guys, you want? Yep, I'm sending you a calendar. You guys want to meet up next week or next week?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I would really like to continue doing this podcast.
Yeah, that's fine. Get on to Jack's call on Friday morning, and you can let people know about it and tell them, ask if I don't know how exactly, but somehow get them so you can connect and give them the invite or however you want to do it. But you know what I mean? You could probably, I don't think Jack would mind at all, especially since you're doing it under his court. It'll only help him.
Yeah, I would like to do it on Friday, but I'm not sure if I can like the next Friday since I'm working the shift um, from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. next week, and the time difference is all. But maybe the week after that, I will be able to get on to Jack's call to market this a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're definitely gonna do it, then send me a link or something, and I could give you a plug if I get on there. I try to get on there every week now.
All right,
I'm happy.
sure.
I'm happy to plug it too, and because I think it was a good thing, and I'd love to see more people, get into it and see if it's a different time than Jack's. Then give people an option.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So hope I haven't dominated the conversation. Sorry
No,
about
no,
that.
in no way, in no way. We are having some issues with the feedback, but I think it will be okay.
Oh, I hope it's not really. Sorry to hear.
That's no problem.
Okay. Well, I'll talk to you guys later. Have fun.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank you,
Rita.
and thank you for joining the conversation, Rita.
All right. See you later, B. See you later,
See
B.
you later.
Bye.
Bye.
There, we are back again. Did you also get like the major feedback from this when you were talking or I was talking to Rita? Then you get the feedback echo.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. She sounds like she's got a lot going on with the dog
yeah.
business and trying to do a little eBay and this and that. And sounds like she's got mic or headphone or straight off the phone, but
Yeah, maybe
she had
she
the
was.
I guess the volume was up on her end because you could hear us talking and
Maybe she was out walking the dogs and talking on the phone.
yeah.
Yeah,
But that's all part of just you don't know them things until you start doing the stuff. I mean, just like selling online, I didn't know it was possible until I actually started. And most people don't think that that they can do any more than what they're doing just because people get in such a rut, and such a routine of doing the same thing. And this is people get to where, oh, this is just the way it is. This is just my
yeah,
life.
for sure. You fall into the comfortability. Is that a word? Or the comfy zone, right? Because you get comfortable with something, and when you get comfortable with something, then you kind of get stuck in that bubble, and everything outside that seems dangerous, right?
Exactly.
And
And fear keeps a lot of people from living a much more rewarding life, I guess. But
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and my goal, I mean, of course, I'd love to be rich, and I'm trying to grow this business as big as I can get it. But I'm more about being time rich instead of money rich. If I can keep my bills low and get all my bills paid and still have some extra money to do the things that I want to do, if I can get that in place to where I can literally do what I want when I want with the people I want, to me that is just total freedom. When it's like, okay, it's up to me whether or not I want to do this or that, or it's all on my schedule. And to me, just time rich is better than money rich. But
yeah, yeah, for sure. And you must also have felt like an enormous sense of independency, independence when you went from or when you quit your job. Like, how did that feel? Like, when you said to yourself, "Now I'm going to quit my job and I'm just going to live off this eBay and Amazon things."
very scary.
Very scary, very scary at
Very
first.
scary because I mean I worked at one place for 10 years, and even the owner of the company was like my best friend, and it just got to a point where, well, what triggered me quitting was that my ex-wife changed her location, and she moved. Her and the kids moved, and it put my kids like 2 hours away from me. And so at that point, it was like, this this can't work because I'm not going to get to see my kids but twice a month. So and that's what kind of pushed me over the edge. It was like, okay, now's the time. This is why I've been working for 4 years trying to build this up while I'm working my regular job. And then at that moment, that was the thing that pushed me to be able to go in there and just tell them I've got to quit. I'm gonna try
Yeah,
to do it on my own, and I'm gonna move. And I quit my job, and I up and moved 150 miles away from where I was living to be closer to my kids. And I mean, that's the thing too. If you've got the right motivation or the right goal, that can push you. I mean, if you're comfortable and you got your bills paid, you got a decent job, and everything's going good, that's really there's no incentive there to change it. You know what I mean? But in my situation, I wasn't enjoying the job anymore. My kids were in another city too far away for me to go visit them during the week. And to me, that was like all the motivation I needed was, I got to do this. I got to try it. If it doesn't work, I'll just go get another job. And that's that, So, but so far, I'm going on 3 years without a regular job. Nobody has to give me money. Nobody has to pay my bills. I've been paying my bills, and I take my kids on vacation, and it's working so far. So I'm really happy about it because I never really have just talked about, oh yeah, I'm a full time reseller. I'm a full time reseller because even after 1 or 2 years, I'm still thinking this may all end tomorrow. I've always got this thought in the back of my head that it this could all go away, but it's worth it right now because it's working. So
Yeah, yeah, you gotta live in the now with the business for sure. Well, Brian, I'm going to cut the podcast here, and I gotta say thank you for doing this with me.
Patrick, I
And
sure I sure appreciate it. I'm glad you reached out, and it feels good to talk about this in general. I mean, you know even if you're not an eBay seller or whatever, just brainstorming and talking about it. You never know where it's going to lead.
no, for sure. So I hope to like be doing more of these podcasts because I must say I quite enjoy sitting here and talking into a microphone. So maybe we can do a little more of this in the future and brainstorm some more about what can be done and what can't be done and so on.
Sounds
Eh,
good.
sounds good, Brian. So I guess yeah. What state are you from, by the way?
I live in Tennessee.
All right, so that's East Coast time, right?
It's actually Central Time, so I mean
S
it's 5:42 p.m. here.
All
Um,
right, all right. So it's still afternoon. So I'll
yeah.
say have a fine the rest of the afternoon, and thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks a bunch, Patrick. I appreciate it. You have a good one.
Say, man.